The 85% of daily trading that's on your screen, or 90 right now, when markets are actually finding the real illiquidity. Like, how does the Fed change the setup of that component of the market, the machine? Like, I'm setting aside all the human opinions of that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's extremely difficult for the Fed to take action on that because it is the facilitator and it's actually been creating that exposure. It is actually the one that has been telling everybody to be more exposed to the cycle. Now, from the Federal Reserve perspective, there are some factors that they take into account when looking at monetary policy that don't reach the headlines very quickly, which is that one of them, or at all, one of them that I think is very, very important and that very few people talk about is that they always look at what is the demand for dollars compared to the supply of dollars. This is something that other central banks don't do. Other central banks simply increase liquidity and hope for the best. And I think that is why what is happening right now is so important, is that what we are starting to see is that the credit mechanism and the monetary policy mechanism, the mechanism of transmission of monetary policy has been so broken that a rate cut or a change in policy that is inconsistent with the messages that the same policymaker is giving about the economy create a double negative. And that's back to your point. At the beginning of an expansionary monetary policy, hope and faith are the key factors.
Yep.
You in 2009, you pump a lot of liquidity and you say, look, things cannot go any worse, so they will get better. Let's go and buy cyclical assets. That makes sense.
Yep.
But once you're into the first, not the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the 10th year, and you have exhausted all monetary policy options in an environment in which there was growth, then what happens is exactly what you just said, is that it works like a boomerang. It goes against you very, very quickly. But and the central bank that has become the enabler of bubbles is actually even worse, even impacting the burst of those bubbles even more by taking expansionary policies, because if you've lost the hope and the faith that those actions are going to make a meaningful impact on the real economy, then it's simply just insane policies. That's the problem. Yeah. Remember, you just mentioned the different stages. This is very important. Remember when the Fed easing policy was always in line with the messages that they gave about the economy. Mm-hmm. So they said, look, the economy is weak. We are seeing strengthening parts here. We are seeing some the labor market is still weak, blah, 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 all these things. So this justifies easing. But if you say month after month after month after month in the last 2 years that everything is great, and at the same time, you cut rates and you increase the balance sheet, saying that it's not QE when it's QE all over the place. Exactly. Then it's counterproductive, and and I think that there are numerous papers out there saying that monetary policy in monetary policy communication is as important as the policy itself. I wouldn't agree with that, but I would say that if you believe in that, then you're making the biggest communication mistake ever by saying that everything is great and we're going to cut rates, which is the problem of the ECB as well. The ECB has been talking about recovery, industrial production down, manufacturing sector in contraction, growth in Germany, France, Italy, etc. slowing down. And now you do something that people just don't believe in because they know that is exactly what you've been doing in the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was very